This video is based on official NTSB investigation reports and documented evidence. The story you're about to hear represents one of aviation's most extraordinary survival stories, a case where a catastrophic mechanical failure should have meant certain death for everyone aboard, but instead became a testament to human ingenuity, teamwork, and the will to survive. July 19, 1989. A warm summer afternoon finds United Airlines Flight 232 cruising peacefully at 37,000 feet over the Iowa cornfields. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10, registration N1819U, carries 296 souls from Denver toward Chicago O'Hare Airport, families on summer vacation, business travelers, and crew members who have no idea they're about to face the impossible. At 3:16 p.m., what begins as a routine engine failure transforms into aviation's ultimate test of human resourcefulness. When a catastrophic explosion destroys not just an engine but all means of controlling the aircraft, the crew faces a situation that no training manual has ever addressed: how to land a jumbo jet using only engine thrust. The DC-10, designed with triple redundancy to ensure that no single failure could compromise safety, suddenly becomes an uncontrollable flying machine. Yet somehow, against all odds and engineering predictions, 185 people will survive this day. This is the story of United Flight 232, the miracle of Sioux City, where ordinary airline pilots and a chance passenger accomplished what flight simulators said was impossible, proving that human determination can overcome even the most catastrophic mechanical failures. United Airlines Flight 232 represents the pinnacle of 1970s wide-body technology. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10, delivered to United in 1971, has served reliably for 18 years, accumulating 43,401 flight hours across 16,997 takeoff and landing cycles. Its three General Electric CF6 turbofan engines, two wing-mounted and one in the tail, provide the redundancy that makes the DC-10 one of the era's safest airliners. Captain Alfred C. Haynes, 57, commands Flight 232 with the authority that comes from 33 years of flying experience, including service as a Marine pilot. His 29,967 total flight hours and extensive DC-10 experience make him one of United's most respected captains, known for his calm professionalism and dry sense of humor. First Officer William Records, 48, serves as pilot, flying with over 20,000 flight hours of his own. His 2 decades with United Airlines have built deep expertise in the DC-10 systems and handling characteristics. Today, he's responsible for the actual flight controls during this routine sector. Flight engineer Dudley Dvorak, 51, honors the aircraft's complex systems from the engineer's station. With 15,000 flight hours and extensive mechanical knowledge, he serves as the crew's technical expert for diagnosing and responding to system malfunctions. Among the passengers sits Captain Dennis Fitch, an off-duty United DC-10 instructor pilot deadheading to Chicago. His presence aboard Flight 232 will prove providential, as his expertise in unusual attitude recovery and system knowledge will become crucial in the crisis ahead. The 285 passengers represent a cross-section of American summer travel, families returning from Colorado vacations, business travelers, and children flying alone to visit relatives. Flight 232 departs Denver Stapleton International Airport at 2:09 p.m. Central Daylight Time under perfect weather conditions. The departure is routine as the heavily loaded DC-10 climbs out over the Colorado Rockies toward its cruising altitude of 37,000 feet. The flight plan calls for a straightforward route across Nebraska and Iowa toward Chicago, with an estimated flight time of just over 2 hours. Air traffic control assigns standard routing, and the crew settles into the comfortable rhythm of a routine domestic flight. At cruising altitude, the autopilot engages, managing the aircraft's flight path while the crew monitors systems and prepares for their arrival procedures at O'Hare. Passengers enjoy meal service, read newspapers, or settle in for an afternoon nap during the peaceful flight across America's heartland. The DC-10's 3 hydraulic systems, designated left, center, and right, operate normally, providing power to flight controls, landing gear, brakes, and other essential systems. Each system operates independently, ensuring that the failure of any single system cannot compromise the aircraft's controllability. In the tail-mounted No. 2 engine, a titanium fan disc that was manufactured 17 years earlier continues to operate normally, as it has for thousands of flight hours. Unknown to anyone aboard, a microscopic crack that originated during the disc's manufacturing process has been slowly growing with each engine cycle. For 1 hour and 7 minutes, Flight 232 proceeds exactly as planned. The crew manages routine radio calls, system checks, and passenger service coordination. Nothing suggests that this flight will become anything other than another successful completion of United's scheduled service. At 3:16 p.m. Central Time, cruising peacefully over Alta, Iowa. United Flight 232 experiences what investigators will later describe as a catastrophic, uncontained engine failure. The number 2 engine's titanium fan disc, weakened by an 18-year-old manufacturing defect, finally fractures under the immense centrifugal forces of high-speed rotation. The explosion is instantaneous and violent. The 200-pound fan disc disintegrates into large fragments that burst through the engine cowling with tremendous energy. These supersonic projectiles slice through the DC-10's tail section like shrapnel, severing all 3 independent hydraulic lines that route through the vertical stabilizer. Captain Haynes and his crew feel a tremendous jolt shake the aircraft, followed by the violent yawing motion as the tail-mounted engine destroys itself. Warning lights illuminate across the flight engineer's panel as the autopilot automatically disconnects and alarms sound throughout the cockpit. First Officer Records attempts to regain control using conventional flight controls, but nothing responds. The control yoke moves freely in his hands, disconnected from any flight surfaces. The aircraft begins climbing and rolling to the right, completely out of control. Flight engineer Dvorak quickly diagnoses the scope of the disaster. All 3 hydraulic system pressure gauges read 0. The redundancy that was supposed to make such a failure impossible has been defeated by the catastrophic energy of the engine explosion, routing all hydraulic lines through the same area of the tail. Within seconds, the crew realizes they face a situation unprecedented in commercial aviation. A large transport aircraft with no flight controls except engine thrust. The impossible has happened. They're flying a machine that's no longer designed to fly. Before we continue with this extraordinary story of survival, we want to thank our viewers who follow through the pilot's eyes. These investigations require detailed analysis of official reports and technical documentation to understand how crews respond to impossible situations. Your subscriptions help us research these remarkable aviation stories. With all conventional flight controls useless, Captain Haynes takes command and begins the most challenging problem-solving exercise in aviation history. The DC-10 continues its uncontrolled right turn and climb as the crew works to understand their situation. We have no hydraulic fluid, which means we have no elevator control, almost no rudder control, and no aileron control. Haynes quickly summarizes for his crew. The aircraft's fly-by-wire backup systems, standard on modern aircraft, don't exist on the 1970s-era DC-10. First Officer Records makes the crucial discovery that differential engine thrust can provide some control authority. By reducing power on the left engine and increasing power on the right, they can counteract the aircraft's tendency to roll right. This primitive steering method requires constant adjustment and provides no precision. At 3:20 p.m., Captain Haynes contacts Minneapolis Air Route Traffic Control Center. We have lost number 2 engine, and we've lost all hydraulics. The initial request is for vectors to the nearest suitable airport, which controllers identify as Sioux Gateway Airport in Sioux City, Iowa. Among the passengers, Captain Dennis Fitch hears the commotion and recognizes the severity of the situation. Without invitation, he makes his way to the cockpit and offers his assistance. "I'm a DC-10 instructor pilot," he tells Haynes. "Is there anything I can do?" Haynes immediately accepts Fitch's help, recognizing that 4 experienced pilots working together have a better chance than 3. Fitch takes position standing behind the throttles, dedicating himself entirely to the engine thrust steering that represents their only hope of control. Captain Dennis Fitch's arrival in the cockpit transforms the crew's approach to their impossible situation. With his extensive experience as a DC-10 instructor pilot and his familiarity with unusual flight conditions, Fitch becomes the crew's specialist in thrust-only control. Taking position at the throttle quadrant, Fitch begins the delicate process of learning to steer a DC-10 using only engine power. Small adjustments to the number 1 and number 3 engines can influence the aircraft's roll attitude, while power changes affect their rate of climb or descent. However, these controls are indirect, delayed, and require constant adjustment. "Whatever you do, keep us away from populated areas," Haynes tells air traffic control, recognizing that their lack of precise control makes any crash landing extremely dangerous for people on the ground. The crew's immediate priority becomes reaching Sioux Gateway Airport while maintaining enough altitude for multiple approach attempts. The aircraft settles into a series of wide right-hand spirals as Fitch develops his technique with the throttles. Each orbit takes several minutes to complete, giving the crew time to work through emergency procedures and coordinate with controllers and company representatives. United Airlines System Aircraft Maintenance facility in San Francisco establishes contact with Flight 232, providing technical support and advice. However, no procedures exist for their situation. The DC-10's designers never envisioned complete hydraulic failure, considering it a virtually impossible scenario. The crew dumps fuel to reduce landing weight. understanding that their unconventional approach will require multiple attempts and that lighter weight might improve their chances of survival. Every action requires discussion and coordination among the 4 pilots as they literally invent new procedures. As Flight 232 begins its final approach to Sioux Gateway Airport, the crew faces a challenge that no airline training has ever addressed: landing a jumbo jet with no elevator, rudder, or aileron control. Their only steering comes from differential engine thrust, making precision impossible. Air traffic control clears all other aircraft from the area and positions emergency equipment along the runway. The Iowa Air National Guard, based at Sioux Gateway, mobilizes all available personnel to assist with what everyone expects will be a catastrophic crash landing. Captain Fitch continues his delicate throttle work, trying to align the aircraft with runway 22. However, the wide right-hand spirals make it nearly impossible to establish a stable approach path. Each correction takes several seconds to take effect, making precise maneuvering extremely difficult. "We're going to have to make a landing," Haynes tells air traffic control. "We're not going to have any control when we hit the ground, so we're going to need all the assistance we can get." The crew prepares passengers for an emergency landing, knowing that conventional procedures don't apply to their situation. The aircraft's approach speed is much higher than normal, around 240 knots instead of the typical 140 knots, because they lack the ability to configure flaps and slats. The steep descent angle, dictated by their limited control authority, means they're essentially conducting a controlled crash rather than a landing. At 4 p.m., Flight 232 lines up with the runway, though not precisely. Fitch continues adjusting engine thrust, trying to keep the aircraft somewhat aligned with the 8,999-foot runway. Everyone aboard braces for an impact that will test the limits of human survival. At 4:16 p.m., United Flight 232 touches down on Sioux Gateway Airport's runway 22 at 215 knots, nearly twice normal landing speed. The aircraft's right wing tip contacts the runway first, immediately breaking off and starting a series of catastrophic structural failures. The DC-10 bounces violently, then touches down again with tremendous force. The landing gear, not designed for such abuse, collapses immediately. The aircraft skids down the runway on its belly as the tail section breaks away from the main fuselage, tumbling separately behind the main wreckage. As the aircraft continues its violent slide, it veers off the right side of the runway and rolls inverted, coming to rest upside down in a cornfield adjacent to the airport. The impact forces are enormous, but the energy is dissipated over several seconds rather than in a single catastrophic blow. Fire erupts immediately as aviation fuel ignites, creating a massive fireball that engulfs portions of the wreckage. However, the breakup of the aircraft creates multiple escape opportunities, and many passengers find themselves thrown clear of the main fire area. Emergency responders, positioned and ready throughout the airport, rush to the scene within seconds. The Iowa Air National Guard personnel conducting their weekend training duty provide immediate assistance with 285 trained individuals helping evacuate survivors and fight fires. In the cockpit, Captain Haynes regains consciousness upside down in his seat. "So much for my theory about the gear," he jokes to rescuers, maintaining his characteristic humor even in the aftermath of disaster. His crew has accomplished the impossible. They've landed an uncontrollable aircraft and saved 185 lives. The rescue operation at Sioux Gateway Airport becomes a textbook example of emergency preparedness and community response. Within minutes of impact, emergency personnel have established triage areas and begun evacuating survivors from the wreckage. The fact that the accident occurs during a shift change at regional trauma centers means additional medical personnel are available. Of the 296 people aboard Flight 232, 185 survived the crash landing. Among the fatalities are 110 passengers and 1 flight attendant, most dying from impact forces or smoke inhalation. The survival rate of over 62% amazes investigators, who consider any survivability miraculous given the circumstances. The NTSB launches an immediate investigation into both the cause of the engine failure and the crew's extraordinary response. However, investigators face a unique challenge. The critical evidence lies scattered across Iowa cornfields, where the fan disc fragments landed at cruising altitude. Months later, a farmer discovers 2 major pieces of the fan disc in her field near Alta, Iowa, 66 miles from the crash site. Metallurgical analysis reveals the manufacturing defect that caused the failure, a microscopic hard alpha inclusion that created a fatigue crack over 18 years of service. The investigation reveals that multiple inspections had failed to detect the growing crack in the fan disc's bore. The defect's location and size made detection extremely difficult using available inspection techniques, highlighting the limitations of contemporary manufacturing quality control. Captain Haynes, First Officer Records, Flight Engineer Dvorak, and Captain Fitch received numerous awards for their extraordinary airmanship. The NTSB states that under the circumstances, the UAL flight crew performance was highly commendable and greatly exceeded reasonable expectations. As we conclude this remarkable story of survival, we thank our viewers who follow through the pilot's eyes. These investigations into extraordinary human achievement in aviation help us understand how training, teamwork, and determination can overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Your support allows us to research these inspiring aviation stories. The NTSB's final report transforms aviation safety through its recommendations for improved engine design, inspection procedures, and hydraulic system redundancy. The metallurgical lessons learned from the fan disc failure lead to enhanced manufacturing quality control and new inspection technologies throughout the industry. United Airlines Flight 232 becomes a landmark case study in crew resource management (CRM), demonstrating how effective teamwork and communication can achieve the impossible. The crew's ability to accept help from Captain Fitch and coordinate their efforts under extreme pressure becomes a model for emergency response training. The accident leads to significant changes in engine certification standards, requiring improved containment of failed components and protection of critical aircraft systems. Airlines enhance their training programs to address scenarios beyond traditional emergency procedures. Captain Haynes becomes an advocate for aviation safety and CRM training, sharing the lessons learned from Flight 232 with pilots worldwide. His famous observation, "We were too busy to be scared," captures the professional focus that enabled their survival. The 18-5 survivors of Flight 232 represent a testament to human ingenuity, professional skill, and the power of teamwork under the most extreme circumstances. Their story continues to inspire aviation professionals and reminds us that even when facing the impossible, human determination and expertise can prevail. The cornfield in Sioux City, where Flight 232 came to rest, has become a symbol of survival against impossible odds.